Today I'm giving you a 3-year update after my hysterectomy and prolapse repair surgery. Let's dive in. It's been 3 years since my own hysterectomy and prolapse repair surgery, and I've had many of you reach out asking for an update. So that's what I'm here for today. But I also want you to know that I have so many other resources out there if you're looking for information along the way, including what to know before surgery, what to know after, how to heal, how to exercise, and even sex after hysterectomy. So I'm going to have a bunch of resources and links below, and you can check those out. Like I said, it has been 3 years exactly since my own hysterectomy and prolapse repair surgery. So just to remind you, if you don't know my own history, I was 41 years old when I had the surgery done. It was my third major abdominal surgery. I had a laparoscopic hysterectomy done where they took my uterus, fallopian tubes, cervix, and one ovary. And I also had what's called a sacrocolpopexy done to help repair my prolapses. I had a uterine prolapse and a cystocele and a rectocele. So I had a lot going on. So I'm going to tell you how I am doing at this point, 3 years after my surgery. So I'm going to divide them up a little bit and talk about the hysterectomy piece first. I'm going to be honest, I don't think about the hysterectomy much. Again, part of that's because this was my third abdominal surgery, so I was kind of used to that recovery itself. But from the hysterectomy side, it was a fairly clean-cut recovery, and I don't think about it much, to be honest. I don't have a period anymore, but I do still cycle. So I'll talk about that a little bit. So I chose to keep one ovary. I was 41 years old, like I said. I had not been through menopause yet. I talk about this a lot in my podcast and also my video, What to Know Before Surgery. So if you want to dive into that decision of mine to keep one ovary, then I go into a lot of detail there. But just to say that I did keep one ovary, so I still cycle. I still actually ovulate every other month. So I still cycle, I just don't have a period. So I do know when I ovulate, I would say I do get a little bit of cramping, like typical menstrual cramps. I do have a little bit of hormonal changes during that time. It is not as severe as it was before my hysterectomy, but I do cycle, I do get some of those symptoms. So that's something to know if you do choose to keep an ovary or if you haven't been through menopause yet. And then when it comes to exercise, I don't feel held back from my hysterectomy whatsoever. I was not given lifelong precautions from my doctor for that. It took me a good year to really feel comfortable and kind of free to exercise in whatever way I chose. And that's typical after any kind of surgery. We have to build our strength back up. We have to really get our endurance back up, and we have to kind of get to know this new body again. So it took about a year. And I talk about that in my 1 year after surgery detailed kind of follow-up, but it did take about a year. And at this point, I don't feel held back from that hysterectomy. So I'm feeling good. Sex feels good. I had no problems with that personally afterwards. I continue to also have my hormones monitored. So even 3 years after, I did go through one session with a functional medicine doctor and did a lot of hormone testing 2 years ago, and I'm actually going through it again right now. So that's something that I will continue to do, especially as I'm cycling. I just want to stay on top of that and make sure my hormone levels are where they need to be optimally for me to feel my best and recover from exercise. I do know that I'm perimenopausal at this point, so that's something that I am keeping an eye on. So all that to say is 3 years after my hysterectomy, I feel great. I don't really think about it. I never feel limited by having a hysterectomy. The only real difference in my day-to-day life is that I don't have a period anymore. So that is really the only true difference. Everything else I feel is simply part of getting older, getting into perimenopause, and those kind of things. But otherwise, I feel good. And barring any kind of real complications, I truly feel that you can get back to feeling really strong and great after a hysterectomy. So now I want to cover the prolapse repair piece, because that is truly kind of a different surgery. Many times they go hand in hand. So if you have a prolapse, many times they are going to do a hysterectomy or recommend having a hysterectomy with a prolapse. And that's what was done for me. The hysterectomy itself was done because I had a uterine prolapse, and then I also had severe endometriosis. So those kind of were the decision makers for me to have a hysterectomy. And then the prolapse repair piece needed to happen because I had grade 3 and grade 4 prolapses that weren't going to heal on their own. So this far out, 3 years after my surgery, I told you that I don't think about the hysterectomy piece very much, and I truly don't. I do, on the other hand, think about the prolapse piece almost daily, and I'll tell you why. It's because that is a different kind of purpose and intent when there is movement, because I am very conscious of not causing a prolapse again. So when I move, when I exercise, when I come up with my own kind of exercise programs, I am very conscientious about that, about staying safe. For me, that means I don't run and jump. My surgeon has told me I can run. I am safe to run, but when I run, it doesn't feel good. I don't need to run. There are so many other ways I love to move that I don't feel a need to run. So me, I have decided that I am probably not going to be running as a part of my exercise program. I also don't lift more than 50 pounds. Again, that is not really a big factor in how I exercise because I'm not going to lift more than 50 pounds most of the time. It's more like if we are moving a piece of furniture, I'm going to think twice about how I lift it and if I can truly help someone lift that or not. When I go to the gym and work out, I make sure that I am doing certain weights that aren't going to make my pelvic floor too fatigued. But yes, I do lift weights. I exercise just about every day. I don't feel limited, but I am aware of how I exercise in order to protect my pelvic floor and not make it too fatigued. So that's what I mean when I say I think about my prolapse repair. From a healing standpoint, I feel completely healed. I don't have pain. I don't have limitations in how I move or how I stretch. I don't feel limitations in how I function during the day. I can pick up my 5-year-old son without a problem. He's under 50 pounds still, so that works out fine for me. So I really don't feel limited. It's more the fact that I am always going to be aware of doing daily conscientious things simply to protect my pelvic floor so I don't prolapse again. Another factor with that is making sure that you don't get constipated. That's a big factor actually in causing a prolapse. So make sure that you don't get constipated, you're staying hydrated, that you don't sit and push on the toilet. Those kind of things really can have an effect on your pelvic floor. So I'm always aware of that, but it doesn't hold me back. I don't have pain at all on a daily basis. I feel very free and comfortable and confident in the body I have. I'm at the point that I don't need to be seeing my surgeon or doctor for follow-up visits. I saw my surgeon 6 months after surgery, and that was the last time that I saw him. I haven't had complications, so I haven't felt a need to go back. So at this point, I am free to move and do what feels best for me, and I won't go back unless I do have any problems in the future. So this video, 3 years after, isn't going to cover all the minutia and little details that my videos 6 months after and a year after and all of my exercise guides will. That's where I want you to go if you are looking for step-by-step instructions and support in those areas, because I do have a lot of resources out there for you to help guide you every step of the way. This message, 3 years later, is really to tell you that you will feel like yourself again. You might even feel better than ever. I can't describe the relief that I feel to not have a prolapse bulge every day, because that's where I was. I lived like that for 7 years. I can't necessarily say, oh, I'm so glad I had the surgery, because honestly, I wish I never would have had to. That is the truth of it. I wish that my body had never had to have the surgery, but I did, and I went through the steps to make myself confident in having the surgery, and I have gone through the steps day by day for 3 years to get to the point that I am confident and strong and independent and safe in my body now. And that's kind of the key, in my opinion, is you need to go through every step. You need to do it safely, but you also need to find freedom in your body so you are not afraid to move and you're not afraid of this body you have. And it does take time. It just does. It's one day at a time, but you will get there. This is a message of hope that you will get to the point that you don't think about your surgery much anymore, that you can move forward feeling really good and safe in this body you have. So I hope that helps give you a little bit, again, of hope and to let you know you're not alone on this journey and there is so much goodness on the other side of surgery. All right, thanks for being here on this journey, and I will talk to you soon.